The year was 1942. The world was burning. Cities were collapsing. And in the middle of it all was a young boy named Daniel, running through smoke and rubble with nothing but fear in his heart and hope in his eyes. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a hero. He was just a boy who wanted to live. Bombs thundered in the distance as Daniel clutched a small photograph, the only memory of his family. His home had been destroyed. His father was gone. His mother, he never saw her again. Every day was a fight for survival. Every night, a battle against hunger and cold. He hid in basements, scavenged for breadcrumbs, and prayed the sky wouldn't fall again. But in the darkest nights of war, Daniel made himself a promise. If I survive this, I'll spend my life rebuilding what hate destroyed. When the war finally ended, the silence was almost unbearable. No gunfire. No sirens. Just ruins and grief. Daniel walked through the streets that once echoed with laughter, now filled with ashes and broken dreams. He had nothing left. No family. No money. No future. But he still had his promise. So he began again. He picked up scrap metal from the ruins and sold it in the markets. He worked in factories, swept floors, and slept wherever he could. He saved every coin, every fragment of hope. People looked at him and saw a war orphan. But Daniel looked in the mirror and saw a survivor. Years passed. While others complained about what they lost, Daniel focused on what he could build. He studied at night, reading torn pages he found in abandoned schools. He learned about machines, trade, and business, anything that could help him create a new life. He failed often. He was rejected more times than he could count. But Daniel refused to give up. Because he knew something most people didn't. The world doesn't owe you hope. You have to build it yourself. One day, after years of struggle, Daniel created a small workshop that repaired broken machines left from the war. It wasn't much, just a dusty room and a few tools. But he poured his soul into it. He worked harder than anyone, day and night, with blistered hands and tired eyes. People began to notice the boy who fixed what others abandoned. Soon, his tiny workshop became a factory. His factory became a company. And his company rebuilt parts of the same city that once burned before his eyes. Daniel didn't just survive the war, he rose from it. Years later, when people asked him, "How did you do it? How did you go from a war orphan to one of the greatest builders of our time?" He smiled and said, "The war destroyed everything around me, but I refused to let it destroy what was inside me." Daniel's story became a symbol of hope, a reminder that pain can forge greatness. He proved that no matter how terrible life gets, there's always a way to rebuild, not just your home, but your heart. He taught people that every tragedy hides a seed of purpose. And that survival isn't just about staying alive, it's about rising again when life has burned everything down. So if you're watching this right now, maybe your war isn't with bombs or bullets. Maybe it's failure. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's the feeling that your dreams are too far gone. But remember Daniel. The boy who had every reason to give up, but didn't. You can rise too. You can rebuild. You can turn your scars into strength. Because greatness doesn't come from comfort. It comes from survival. Subscribe for more stories like Daniel's. Stories that remind you that you were not born to give up. You were born to rise.